From the beginning, I was like a little bit hesitant. Can we do this? It sounded so massive.
Biggest version of it is like 30 minutes long.
I just composed this part there and now we need to cut it.
That's Olli and Markus from Poets of the Fall. Together with Marco, they became Old Gods of Asgard, a fictional band for Remedy's biggest video games. They created one of the longest video game songs ever made, and their album became the top-selling vinyl in Finland. In this episode, we'll dive into how all of this happened, but first, let's go back into how their journey truly began with a video game. I want to know, like, how did this band even start from? Like, where did you guys come together? How did this all happen in the first place?
You can start because you and Marco kind of like were in this band before I joined. So
yeah, we had a band and at some point realized that we are good working together. Like we make a good team and it would probably make most sense that we would start writing songs, just the two of us, and left the previous band and decided to form a new one, just so that we see like where can we go with just both of our input to the band, like full on 110%. And then we started working on songs on a regular basis, like two times a week, and all of a sudden Marco had been discussing with Sam Lake that maybe it would be a nice thing to compose a song for their upcoming game, Max Payne 2. And
the original idea was not to even make like a finished, produced, recorded song. The idea was just to record like a simple acoustic guitar vocal demo for the voice actors in the game, so that the voice actors in the US, they could like learn the song a little bit and then hum or whistle the melody like throughout the game. And the actual song wouldn't like even exist, or it wouldn't be heard like at any point in the game. So I happened to be working at a company called Futuremark, or it was called actually Madonion at the time, which was right next to Remedy. Their offices were kind of like next to each other. And I had a little studio in there at the office because I was actually a web designer, but I was also making music and sound effects for the, well, that's another story, but anyway,
Okay.
anyway, I didn't know Marko and Olli at that point at all. But then one day, Sam Lake, or Sami Järvi, as we know him in Finland, he came from Remedy to talk to me that, hey, there's a couple of guys in here, and they have this song. Maybe you could record like a very simple demo of their song in your studio. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And then you guys came and we met for the first time, and I was like, oh yeah, it's a nice song, and of course that song was played goodbye. And we recorded the demo. It was sent to the voice actors and all good, and you left. And then I don't remember exactly how it went, but I think it was me who started like thinking that, hey, this is such a good song. Why don't we turn in this like an actual song with like a full band playing, and it could be released? And yeah, so I started adding different instruments to the demo. So I played like drums and bass, and I did some strings and stuff like this. And then I don't remember exactly what happened after that. I think I played it to you guys and you liked it. But even then it wasn't like immediately obvious that what should we do with it. And through some different things happened, and in the end, of course, it ended up being in the end credits of Max Payne 2. And yeah, and then of course we were like, oh, that's great. And then Marko and Olli actually, they asked me that, hey, would you like to join? We have this band, Poets of the Fall. Maybe you would like to join us, that you have like more song ideas and more demos, and maybe we could work on them together. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Of course, I was still working as a web designer, but I was like, yeah, sure, I also make music. And then we started working on those songs, and those songs eventually became Science of Life, our debut album. And
How does that make you feel to know a music that came from just a demo, was not supposed to be a full music, but became a full music, is in a video game and has such an international appeal?
Yeah, that's the whole thing that like kickstarted our whole career. So how that one song led to where we are now. So yeah.
exactly. And I remember when Marco came with, I think he had 3 ideas, or I would even say like 3 songs he had composed with the guitar. And I mean, I did some arranging, just changing a few chords here and there, but nothing big. But at that point, it was like, yeah, I mean, we could choose this one or that one, or maybe the middle one. And it was like, these are all good ideas. And it's so hard to say when you're like working for a song, like working on a song, like, to know, like, is this a good song or not? Or you kind of get these feelings. But I remember when we heard the first time Captain Markus's version of the like full production, and we were really blown away. So that at that point we knew that, hey, this has to be on the game as well. And I remember we were trying to sort of like sell it to Remedy also, like, hey, come on, this is the version that we all want, the full version. And they were so hooked on the idea of just being very simple acoustic thing, like, but I think everybody kind of got the idea, like, hey, this could also work like this. And now it has so many different versions, and yeah, as said, it like started our whole career. So it's so hard to plan these things, as Captain just said.
Yeah, because when you're working on a song, you rarely have like, because it's hard to imagine now that any like Late Goodbye or any song that we have made, that there used to be a time when that song didn't exist. It was like the melody didn't exist, the lyrics didn't exist, like anything didn't exist. And to get from that point to this point where everything is like done and the song is released, there's like always so much work, and it's always like a long process when you go like back and forth and try different things, and eventually the song will become what it is in the end.
Late Goodbye was first, but after a few years later, in 2010 is when Alan Wake came out, and that's where more of the songs were made by you guys. But this time around, it was Old Gods of Asgard, Formation, and 2 songs were made, Children of the Elder God and Poet and the Muse. And I'm curious about, like, when did that conversation even happen? Like, do you guys know about, like, that was just an idea from Sam, or like that was a whole discussion? Like, how did that go?
I think it came like 100% from Sam's imagination.
Yeah,
I think, actually, because Marko and Sam Lake are actually like childhood friends, so they are like often in contact and talk about this, like the lore of the Remedy games and like the whole universe. And so I don't actually know when was the first time that anyone discussed Old Gods of Asgard with us, but my understanding is that it's like Sam came up with this whole thing, and at some point he probably mentioned it to Marko.
Yeah, probably.
Marko told, I can't really remember any details, but I think at some point Marko just like told us that, hey, there's this idea that there's this like Viking heavy rock band that lives inside the Remedy universe, and what if we would kind of like produce songs in that style, kind of like 70s, 80s hard rock, heavy rock. It didn't take us like a lot of thinking to say yes. Like absolutely, because we all, well, I think all 3 of us, well, all 6 of us, we all listen to like all kinds of music, but at least to 3 of us, like this like harder rock has always been like close to heart. Even though Poet's music it can be like much lighter or poppier sometimes, but I think we still all love like heavy guitars and stuff like that. So, yeah. So, and also the idea that you can kind of, to me at least, if you have, it sounds funny, but if you create something like compose new music or produce or arrange or anything, if you have some kind of like rules or limitations, like for example, okay, this has to sound like it's made in the 70s or 80s. So it's like, to me, it's immediately like, okay. So it means that they didn't yet have these kind of tools. They would kind of be using this kind of like guitar amplifiers or whatever. And that's immediately kind of like it, rather than like limiting your creativity, I think it's like, okay, this is kind of like the space we are working now in. And it's even easier to kind of like come up with like new melodies and ideas. And if you kind of like you get your head in this specific kind of space, and then like ideas just start coming. So yeah, I think we all like the idea, and we just like took it and ran with it. So yeah.
But was there at any point in time where you thought like, okay, what about the band that exists right now? What about making music here? Is it going to divide our time? Like, were there all those doubts at that point, or at this point you're like, oh, this is something new, let's do this?
I think we are the kind of people that get excited about things, and we are not afraid to try out new, like, because we always felt like, since we decided to do this like completely do it yourself style, like we are our own label, and we make the decisions ourselves. There's no one saying to us that what we should do, or I mean, at least we get to decide anyway. So I think that has always been sort of like, okay, let's keep this in mind every time we do something. Like, let's do things that inspire us. And I just think that was naturally so inspiring. So I don't think we even thought about it that much. I think we are thinking about it now more than at that point, because now Old Gods has become such a huge success in a way. So and it's become a very important part of our universum, I would say. so but at that point I think we were just so excited to do that, and we were like, as we still are, we are working on music all the time, different songs, and sometimes it feels like, okay, this doesn't necessarily fit to the poets, so maybe we should put it to somewhere else, and we have Old Gods of Asgard.
That's amazing. I love that. One of my favorite songs from that game was Poets in the Muse. And I love that song because it starts off like a poetic, kind of slower song. It's not at all hard rock, but it ends up being like at the later part becomes like a little hard, heavy rock kind of song. I'm curious about, how do you figure out the structure of songs for Old Gods? Like, some of them are completely heavy rock, but some of them are not. So how do you figure out this idea of like how some of the song structure would be like?
Yeah, well, it's been a while since I played the first Alan Wake. But for example, the other song, the Children of the Elder God. So that happens like there's like a big fight against the forces of the dark, or whatever those were. And at the same time, the band is the band playing, or is it just the music playing from the speakers? But anyway, of course, that already kind of like sets the tone for the song, so it can't be like a slow, delicate song. It has to be like this. So that's kind of like obvious. And then Poet and the Muse, because that song also kind of like gives you, the lyrics give you hint about the game, what you should do next. So also this kind of style maybe helps you to concentrate more on the lyrics and stuff like this. So. And it's supposed to be, and it tells like even like regardless of where it is in the game, it tells this kind of like dark, beautiful story, the lyrics. So to me, it is kind of like a little, sort of kind of like a folk song type, a little bit of that. It kind of like fits the mood in a way.
And there is always a discussion between Remedy and we bounce the ideas. We also share the music in very early stages, so that like they know where we are going with that, and if it fits their idea. And so far they have been very open and like open with ideas that come from us, like what if we would do this? Because sometimes the music just tells you where to go, and I for this particular song I don't remember how it actually, how did we come up with the idea, like, hey, let's put the guitar solo part with the full band in the end. Maybe it was planned, maybe not, but in the end I also remember the scene from the game, and I think, you know, it's really nice and very, very good. Like in a way, I would say like it fits really well to the scene. But I also feel that I at least I hope so, that also Remedy gets inspired by our music. Like, hey, let's do it this way, and let's create this because you composed something like this, and that's the best, of course. But as said, it's very, I would say in one sense it's tailored for those particular moments. We usually know where it's going, like, or where they want to put it, and that also gives us this, exactly what Captain just described, like this kind of box that we need to work inside, like to make it fit there.
Mm-hmm. And in the end, I think it doesn't really matter if it's Poets or Old Gods, or if the song is going to be just like on an album, or if it's going to be in a game. We still just want to make a good song.
Yeah.
That kind of like works by itself, so that you could also listen to it like even if you take it out of the game. So it still kind of like has to be a good song that you don't have, if you don't want to know anything about the game for some reason, you could still like enjoy the song and say that, oh, okay, this is a good song. So that's, I think that's kind of like our main principle, like in all the music that we do.
Like once the game is kind of out, do you guys get to go and play the game yourself? Like, is that something, and then you listen to the song that you guys made, that just give you like a different reaction to know like, I'm playing a game and that's our song being played?
Well, I can say I played Alan Wake to like pretty early on, like almost immediately when it was released. And I mean, it was really mind-blowing to see the songs there and see how much us there were, I would even say, like the photos and all. I remember, of course, we were there. We were taking the photos. We did the video. We did all that. But you don't realize it like before you are actually playing the game. And we've seen some clips from the game, but it's not the same as when you are actually playing it, and then you're realizing, like, oh my goodness, this is it. Yeah. Here we are. It's surreal in a way, and but it also gives more. I would even say like more story to the music in a way. Like the songs, at least for me, it felt like, yeah, now there's a purpose why we did this and why we put so much effort in these songs, like, because now they serve well and they are even in the story somehow. So it's like it's a wonderful thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's some magic that happens when kind of like all the different elements come together finally when there's the music, because when we are working on the songs, for example, of course that's just like a small part of the whole, if you think about the whole game, and when you work on any song, you're kind of like so much inside the song that it's really difficult to kind of like see or hear the song from the outside and kind of like experience it, because you're so concentrated on all the technical details and everything, that okay, is the mix working, and kind of like stuff like that. And then I remember when we were making Herald of Darkness, and I was like there was probably like a million like iterations of the song that I kept sending to Remedy, and they always like put the latest version in the game, and they sent me like a video capture of the like a playthrough of the level. And I was like, okay, this works. Yeah, okay, there's some things in there that we need to work on, because of course it's this like dynamic interactive song, and one of the biggest challenges was to make it work like musically, no matter what the player does. And of course there were like a lot of places where, okay, now it jumps from this part to this part, that doesn't really work, I need to do something with the song. So I did the change and sent them a new version. And you don't really think about the story and the gameplay and stuff like that. It's purely like technical things. And of course the game at that point didn't look like the final game. It was missing like a lot of the graphics, for still kind of like demo graphics. But then at some point I remember this one moment when after we have filmed the live action parts where we are actually playing, and then they sent us the first version where we are on the big screens in that level. And I think they had also made the graphics like much better, and there was like all the lighting and effects. And then I suddenly like, you kind of like get out of that, this like producer mode that, okay, I need to find for mistakes. It's like, whoa, okay. Now I see kind of like how suddenly it started working, and it's like, it sounds good and it looks good, and it kind of like becomes more than the sum of the parts. It's like, whoa, okay, now I actually see how the lyrics kind of like what they actually mean that and stuff like this. So I love those moments where you have been working hard on something and then you like combine that with something that someone else has been working on. And then suddenly everything clicks together kind of, and it's like, whoa, okay, yeah, now I get it. Yeah.
I think at this point, the biggest song that you guys have made, because the biggest version of it is like 30 minutes long, that is posted online, which I'd never expected to be that long. So like when you found out that, okay, the Herald of Darkness is a song that you will be making, or a song that we'll be making for Alan Wake 2, it's going to be interactive and whatnot. Like, what was your initial thoughts at that point? Did you know the entire thing of how the song is going to be presented, or was that gradually decided over time?
I think it was like a pretty gradual process because of course we had already done like in Control we did Take Control, so the idea of this like dynamic interactive song it wasn't new to us, but still Herald of Darkness was still like much more complicated than it had like literally like more moving parts than Take Control. With both songs I think it started just with like a regular song that starts and plays through and ends. And I think Markus and Olli first worked on this like just like a demo version that has like most of the kind of like important parts of the song. So it has like most of the vocal parts and some guitar solos and kind of like the basic structure. And then what we did next, then we just like cut that into pieces so that Remedy could like try those in different places and see how it works. And then because we were working on that song for a couple of years at least. No, of course not like 24/7, but it's still the whole from beginning to end, from the first demos to the final version. I think it was like at least 2 years, something like that. So, and I remember at some point I got like constant email. At least now it feels like I got like emails from Remedy like almost every day that hey, okay, we just noticed that there's this part in the level where the player can actually get stuck for like 10 minutes and there's like not enough music in there, so could you make some more music for that part, otherwise it will get boring or repetitive or something. So what I usually did, I came to Olli's room here where we are now actually, and I was like, hey Olli, could you play like 6 16-bar guitar solos in the key of A or whatever, and with these chords, and Olli's like, yeah, sure, no worries. And then I go back to my room and in like half an hour Olli's like, yeah, here you go. And I'm like, oh, okay, thanks. And I just like put everything together and send it to Remedy. Okay, here you go. And they're like, oh, thank you.
It wasn't always like that easy. I remember that there was like from the beginning I was like a little bit hesitant, like can we do this? Like it sounded so massive. But as with every song, it starts with some basic idea. And of course, Markus really fast with doing or composing music. Like when he got the original idea, it didn't take him long to actually get the first verses like together and start working already on the chorus. And when we were at that point that we were all like happy with that, I think it started, as Captain said, like when we finally had like the first demo of the first verse and the first chorus. I think that was like, okay, this can become a song now. Like, let's just slowly start building, because I saw it when I was working on my computer with that, and I remember when we finished the first verse and first chorus, I was like, okay, so now this is done, and now we need more, like 4 of these parts. Like I need to make 4, but so that they are not similar. And then there were this very funny like things, like we used to have 6 bars of the transition between verse and chorus, and then we realized that okay, it has to loop at some point if the player gets stuck. So we needed to make the loop part so that it's 4 bars only, because the 6 bars or something like that was too much. And then we had some sort of modulation there in between, and it was like, okay, so I just composed this part there with the guitars and the modulation, and now we need to cut it like with 2 bars or 2 beats or something. And it's like, oh my, like how am I going to make it so that it works and we get to the chorus and we can still loop it, like these funny things. But then luckily, you know, we managed to do it.
Yeah,
those are the like sometimes like real struggles, like very simple stuff, very small stuff, but like but it has to go this way otherwise. So okay, we'll start building it. And then there were of course these situations where at some point the song was massive, and then when you need to change something, it affects everything. That was more your work, of course. You know, when you have everything on the table and then they want something like, this doesn't work, and it's like, oh my goodness. Okay, so but it was really good learning experience, and I think we like even with all the difficulties, I think that was like really great project to do.
We would do it again anytime.
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe we will.
Yeah.
I was like such a big fan because in the game when I'm playing it and when the guitar solo kind of comes in, I'm like, oh, this is great, and it goes on for a long time, and I'm like wanting to enjoy the song, but at the same time I'm playing the game, so I have to kill these things in front of me, so I'm dying all the time because I want to listen to the song. So it's so cool. So I'm just like wanted to know from you, like how does that feel for you to like have this guitar solo, and then how do you even build on that, because now you have to do multiple instances or multiple variations, I suppose, of that solo so that it kind of makes sense for the song or for what's happening in the game?
Yeah, I think I developed this idea in the previous Alan Wake game. I think the American Nightmare.
Balanceless the Demon.
Yeah, so I come up with this idea of having two guitar players in the band competing each other or something like that, like having these duels. And that helped me a little bit with the long guitar solo, so I could always switch between those two, and of course they were like my heroes, Steve Vai and Yngwie Malmsteen, and I'm not saying I can play like them, but that gave me this idea, like, okay, so what would they do in this song or solo? So that was the one thing that helped, and actually I added the third one there as well for the Herald, because I knew that there is going to be so many guitar solos and tracks, etc. Like I need to have some sort of, and then I started also like I created these ideas that would help me a little bit, like having different keys for each soloist and different sound, and who uses wah-wah pedal and who not, and all these things to like, but then when I got to the actual playing, it was like pretty straightforward, like what can I come up with, and just trying to create new things that I haven't done in the previous solo. But at some point I forgot, like what did I do in the, because it got so long and so many takes, and it was like, okay, well, hopefully I didn't do the same licks or same things twice, but anyways, I think after doing all that music for the album and for the game or games even, like the idea now is like, okay, so how can I come up with something new after all that? Like I think I like poured everything out, so I really need to, you know, practice more to create something new. But I think, you know, that's a good challenge for me.
Yeah, I love that. I love every single part of it. And obviously you guys also shot the music video or did the scenes recordings for the game as well. Like that must have been very different for you guys, because as you guys have made music videos before, but this is very different. Then you have to have videos just with you, just one person in the video being shot. You have to do signs and you're pointing and all of these different things that you guys are doing. Like, what was that like for you? Because that must have been something very different. And that's probably, I'm assuming that the shooting process was probably different and longer, I suppose. I don't, like, how was that for you guys at this point?
Well, actually, when we were filming those sequences, I don't think there was like any idea of a music video yet, because I think we were filming like only for the live action sequences in the game, and I think it took like 2 days.
2 days,
yeah.
Maybe.
And I have to say here that the whole process was probably like the most efficient filming process that I have ever been in. Like there was like such a big crew, and everything was like so professional and so kind of like there was always some, okay, now it's your turn, now go ahead, and do this and this and this, and there was like a one guy whose only job is to like move one light or something. So that was like really good experience.
Yeah, like I got this guy who was supposed to give me the guitar. He always gave me the guitar because I had the costume and the hair was done very precisely and everything like. And then there was always the makeup person, and then there was the costume designer. They were all close when the guitar was put on my. Like it was like it was such a like. Also, very good learning experience. Okay, so this is how it's been done when it's done like really professional.
Like a big budget,
wow.
and a lot of
that was so great.
But so at that point, everything that was filmed, it was only meant to be used in the game. So I don't think anyone even mentioned like no one even had like an idea that there could be like a music video. So that came only like afterwards at some point when Anssi Määttä, who is the director of the live action sequences in the game. I don't know if the idea originally came from him, but I remember like hearing from him that he would like to use this material to kind of like cut a music video for the song. And we were like, yeah, sure. I mean, why not? That would make sense. It would be like nice to have like a music video on YouTube and see how that works. He only had the material that was filmed for the game. We didn't shoot like anything for specifically the music video in mind. I just remember we were just on tour when he was cutting the music video, and he sent us like a new versions while we were like in some hotel lobby somewhere in Europe, and we were just checking the new version. It was like, okay, okay, this is good, maybe we should like suggest that. What if we change this? And we were like, okay, let's see.
But many of these things that happened during those 2 days was like we didn't know what we were doing. We were just told like point there, and it was like
look angry,
look angry, show your fist or something like that. And it was like this is so, and it was already quite late, I would say. Like it was half a year before the game was released or something that. Or maybe a little bit more, but it was like. Mm-hmm. Like how will this become to this game? But it all made sense after we saw the game and so like now I get it. So it's always, I mean, actors know this stuff, but we are not actors, so we don't know how these things work. So
just musicians.
We just but as said, it was so professional and such a lovely experience.
Yeah, and of course the music video when it was released. I think only then we realized that, this is probably going to be like pretty big, and in the week it got like 1 million views on YouTube or something.
That was big.
So I think it was worth doing. If you mention the album, the Old Gods of Asgard album, because that was also this kind of thing that we didn't like plan it like originally. And did it come from our distributor or something that or? Yeah, they maybe mentioned that, hey, what if you kind of like put all the songs that you have made so far and put them on an album, and it could be like a greatest hits. And I think our first thought was that like, but why? I mean, all the songs are like already out there. Like, who would be interested in an album of a band that kind of like doesn't exist? And then we were like, okay, well, if we're going to do it, then let's do it the right way. And of course, we like made a collection of all the songs and did all the artwork and everything for the album and released. And
then even added one like the intro and the
intro, of course the Sea of Night, because our thinking was that if we want anyone to buy the album, there has to be at least something that is only on the album. So we thought that let's make like a brand new song that doesn't have like a such a direct connection to any of the games, but it's still of course like in the same universe and same style. And then talk about happy coincidences. The song was when we played at the Game Awards in Los Angeles in 23. The album was released like 1 day after that. which seems like someone was like, oh, that's like really, that's really good marketing, and we were like, yeah, right. Like the whole thing was just coincidence.
Yeah. That was probably the last date we could get to that year, and then there was pressure from the vinyl manufacturing company and all these things combined together. It's 8th of December or something like that.
Yeah.
And we
so
were like,
it just has to be the date.
Okay, that's going to be the date. And then all of a sudden, and that's, but so many things happened like that. There are so many things that we try that don't work. You don't really see them. And then there are so many things that we try and suddenly they work. Like we didn't even meant that, but then like, it happens.
Yeah, like this album, which was the week it was released, it was the top-selling vinyl in Finland. Which is like, what?
Like, true. How is it even possible?
How is it possible? Yeah, it's like, do you guys realize that this band isn't like, there isn't really like a band like, it's like, well, okay. Yeah, but I mean, of course we are glad. It's so amazing. And we, like, regardless of what we do, we always put like all our passion and love and work like in everything.
I want to go back to the Game Awards because that was such a beautiful moment for all of us who played the game, who knew about Alan Wake 2 at the time. For you guys, like compared to all the other live events that you've done, all the tours that you guys been in, and the songs that you played, how was those press tours versus the Game Awards and performing that on stage? How were those two different for you guys?
Well, definitely wasn't regular. So everything was different.
Starting from your drum playing.
Yeah, I mean, okay, let's start with the whole thing that we first thought that there's no way we could even make this happen, because we were touring with Poets at the time when we heard from Sam Lake that, hey, the organizers at the Game Awards would really like us to perform the song there. And Alan Wake 2 had just like come out like a little bit earlier, so it was still like pretty recent. And we were like that, okay, that's nice, but there's like a couple of things. First of all, if we are going to play in the US, we need these work permits or work visas. And we know because we have played there before, we know that it will take some time and it's like a long process and there's like all kinds of things involved. That the Game Awards are already so close that there's no way we could ever get those work permits. So kind of like no matter if you want to do it or not, we are sorry, there's just no way to do it. And they were like, oh, no, we will handle that, don't worry. So I said, well, okay. Well, then there's the thing that we have never played live as Old Gods of Asgard. Because of course, in the band, I sort of play the drums, so I'm the drummer. But I have actually never played drums in my life, like actual drums. So, because I see us more as like, well, you said that we are not actors, but still when we are kind of like in the role of the Old Gods of Asgard guys, I think we are more actors than actual like musicians then, because the whole thing is kind of like it's theater, it's like illusion. so we had like some meetings with the guys, like remote meetings with the organizers in Los Angeles, and they were like really helpful and everything, and kind of like, okay, what do you guys think is if there's going to be like some fire on stage and something? We were like, yeah, that sounds very good. And this feeling that, okay, now we are going to kind of like, they know how to like arrange like a big show. So I started learning the drums and
starting from the basics.
And also, of course, there was going to be the two actors involved, Mr. Dor and Alan Wake, and so they were like singing too, so there was like a lot of moving parts, and so how can we make everything happen in such a short time? But yeah, I mean, long story short, it did happen, and it went pretty well in the end.
It went. I would say like it went really well, considering how little time we had to arrange everything. But other than that, the performance, we performed in TV various times in Finland and Europe, and it's there is a certain routine that we already have, and that kind of I felt that saved us. I mean, it felt comfortable. Even though it was very, of course I was nervous and all these things. Of course you are in front of, like, you know that there is a lot of people watching and it's live. But I remember you were poking me with the stick, with the drumstick, like here we go, like before the curtain opened.
1 minute before it starts, I'm like, hey, here we are now. Yeah. Remember, there's only like 100 million people watching the live streams.
That was a good moment, and I knew I was watching Marco like from the side, and I like, we can do this, no problem. You know, like we do have the routine already, even though these are massive things, but still, I mean, we do what we love, and that's why it works.
I wanted to, like, with this song, Herald of Darkness, how has impacted your band at this point? Like, has that changed the way you think about making songs in the future? Like, how has that affected you as a band?
Like, I feel that, because for me especially, it was hard to start the song. I felt that there is just so much pressure of doing a musical song, for instance. What we learned from Take Control was that, okay, we can do this dynamic song. So I knew that wasn't a problem, but like it's going to be such a massive song. So what I learned like afterwards, that you just start building it. So I mean, I would say that that's one of the best lessons for me. Like, I know that, okay, even those things can be done, but you just have to start from very small things. Other than that, I would say like it also showed us that this kind of song, which is kind of unusual to listen to, not like in the game, but like as a song. You always think that it should go so smoothly from one part to each other, but to other part, and there we just needed to like, let's put this here. Like, it's okay, it's different key, different tempo, everything, and let's just put it there, like the guitar solo where it starts. It's like, and still the song can work, and that proved us that even the radios played it a little bit, which was kind of cool. So I think that proves the point that if you start thinking about solutions that would work the best for the radio or best for the audience or something like that, you're losing something. You know, it's more fun and interesting to do things like that are a bit unusual, or just that like you get this idea like, hey, I want to do this like this now. I mean, it's weird, but let's try it. Let's give it a try. And I think that's something that like stays sort of in my head as an idea. Like, we don't always have to do things. Well, we never do things in the easy way, but anyways, but still, like you can trust if the music works, it works, even though it's a bit unorthodox in a way.
There are a few questions that fans wanted to ask, so I hope it's okay for you guys to answer.
Sure.
First comes from Sublime. They ask, did you have any input on how your characters as Old Gods of Asgard, Odin, Thor, and Balder came to be?
I think like mostly everything came from Remedy, and we kind of like just went along. And I mean, if you talk about the characters specifically,
right? So
kind of like their clothes and everything.
The clothes were selected for us, but then we had a one dressing rehearsal or whatever it was called. Where we had possibility to say which works and which
kind of try a little bit of different things.
So that much for sure. And I don't know, I can't speak for Marco, but I know that they have been discussing this with Sam for sure. So there might have happened something like, hey, this could work and this not, and of course for me, as I'm not really in the universe. I'm sort of like, I think we had some freedom there to do different, but not that much, I would say.
Yeah,
makes sense.
So at least for us too, it's kind of like, okay, this, wear this, do this. We're like, okay. Because we think kind of like music is our thing, and kind of like how we look as the characters. That's kind of like their thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, makes sense. Next comes from Nito. They ask, like, this is probably going to be a hard one, but what is your favorite music video you've worked on?
That's a good question. I would say like War was one of those. Like it was a really big budget video that we did. We filmed it in at least 2 locations, maybe, or different days, something like that. I have good memories from those sessions, or how do you call it, video shoot. But that was one of the ones that I remember very well.
Yeah, I don't really watch our music videos that much. So I find it difficult to kind of like even remember what's happening in them. But if my answer can be a little bit like out of the box, Living the Dream by Olli T.
Nice.
Was actually, it was that was because we were sort of just like having fun with that one. So, and of course, since I will not spoil the ending of that video, but that kind of like allowed to us wear some silly things and kind of like.
Next comes from Amy. They ask, like, will you be doing a tour soon as Poets or Old Gods of Asgard, or both?
Well, let's see that there have been some talks about upcoming shows. Nothing concrete yet, but there is like a good chance that we might play some shows in the future. Let's
we still like, I think for live shows it's like the focus is on Poets, of course. Old Gods is really such a different concept that it's hard to see how it could be done. So it requires a lot of thinking first. It's more straightforward to do it as Poets. But as said, let's not say no to anything at this point. We don't know what's gonna. I mean, we have had a lot of inquiries from various
let's say that
but
if we wanted to play shows as Old Gods of Asgard, I'm sure there would be like opportunities to do that. But yeah, like you said, we would really need to kind of like think about the whole concept, how actually we would do it so that it works live, because it was always going to be this like virtual band that only exists in video games. And if we wanted to do it live, we would of course want to do it like properly and not just like let's just go there and do something. So yeah, let's see, never say never.
Maria asks, like, do you have a favorite Remedy game?
That's a tough one, because I played, at least for me, because I just I played Alan Wake 2 and I played Control like right one after another. Because I actually never played Control back in the day when it came out. I started it and then like for some reason just like, okay, yeah, it's good, we're there. But now that I played just for fun, and it's like for me, I have to choose between those two because they are such different games, and I like the atmosphere in both of them, which are a bit different. So but at this point I have to say Alan Wake 2 in a way, because it's the newest and latest in that sense, and of course it has to be the game where we are. Our music is but yeah, hard to choose, but Alan Wake was massive, so yeah.
I'll go the other way, and I'll pick the first Max Payne, because I have such strong memories from the whole development process. I mean, I was involved in just a little bit because Remedy, like I told, Remedy was like the next door. So I saw kind of like how the game was developing and everything. And I think there's like a couple of small sound effects or something in that game that I did. But anyway, it still felt kind of like that when it was finished and I played it like for the first time. And somehow that was such a strong experience. I really loved the atmosphere and the story and everything. So that's still, that stayed in my mind.
Nick asks, are there any instances of unusual instruments or objects used on any Old Gods of Asgard songs?
Yes, there are. For example, what was the song? Grinders Blues that we made for the Rochard, that game.
Yeah, it's not necessarily Old Gods of Asgard, but it's still like...
Sorry, was this about Old Gods of Asgard or Poets?
This is Old Gods of Asgard, yeah.
Sorry, that was a Poets song. Yeah, okay, sorry. Okay, let me rethink. I think it's mostly because it's supposed to be, like we talked earlier, it's supposed to be this like rock band in the 70s and 80s, so that kind of like limits what they can use. So usually it's mostly kind of like what the band of that time would use, so it's like guitars, drums, bass, organs. Maybe if it's supposed to be more like an 80s song, there's some like synth sounds. Well, in Sea of Night, I try to... Some of these kind of like strange hits in the background, these like metallic hits that in my mind, that kind of like, I wanted them to sound like two swords hitting each other or sword hitting a shield or something like this. So these kind of sounds.
Did we sing on Sea of Night, the whole, or the...
Yeah, because
I
was also thinking that choir, it's a combination of Marko singing kind of like the same vocal lines like 30 times, and then I combined them all to make this like a big choir sound.
Were we there also?
And then there's also this whoa, huh. And on those I think there's Marko, and there's like sampled sounds from some choir library. There could be also our voices in there. I really don't remember. No. But anyway, it's like a combination of like a lot of different things. So yeah, so that maybe that counts as unusual. Yeah. But I always love to experiment with different things, and one thing I would like to do more is just to take a microphone and record different things and see how those things could be used in a song. Because that way you get something that probably no one else has in their music. So it always gives this like, yeah. But now I have to mention what I was going to say in the beginning. Okay,
sure.
Yeah, that's a Poets song. But there's this like a percussion sound in the background. That's actually like utensils dryer rack or something. This kind of like this metallic jar from IKEA where you put like forks and knives to dry. And with lot of forks and knives and everything, when you like shake it, it makes this like a really nice metallic percussion shaker sound. So I used that to add this like a shaker loop in the background. But yeah, that's exactly the kind of stuff that I love to do, and I would like to do something like that in the future. So
next question comes from Caitlin. They ask, whose idea was it to put the VR bit in Olli's music video, Living the Dream?
That was actually Mika Hakala, the director. It was his idea.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True.
All that came from him. Yeah, because we were discussing at the beginning that it could be just this kind of like a video, kind of regular video where the band plays the music, but then there would be like this twist in the end that it's actually VR and actually you are doing some office work or just doing something at home so that came from Mika.
And that's pretty accurate anyways, so, since I have the VR glasses. That's so me.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's amazing.